People ask all the time, why is there suffering? I see it all the time posted online. I see it's an age-old question. It's an age-old question about the suffering that goes on in this world. And one of the answers that I hear, and I just, on my post, I post about, suffering that goes on in the world too. I'm a believer in God, but there is a lot of suffering in the world. And one of the things that people always say, and I think they say it because they don't know what else to say because it does not make sense. The suffering does not make sense. So this is what they say. They say, well, it's because of free will that people suffer. Would y'all please stop using that as a reason why people suffer? Because that flood that happened in Texas with all those little kids at that Christian camp, that flash flood that happened, that has nothing to do with free will. That flood came out of nowhere, and some of those kids you still can't find. People who die every day, years ago there was 200 and something thousand people that died from a tsunami. That has nothing to do with free will. People that die in accidents, kids who are born with cancer, all kind of stuff go on. It is not the violence of man that causes all of the suffering in the world. It is just things happen in this world. This is a violent world. There's a lot of suffering that goes on. And if you can't answer somebody's question in the right way, because here's the real truth about it. I used to be a minister for years, and I still talk to people all the time. Now, when we talk about this suffering and things that go on in this world, I just simply say, I don't know. Because I don't know why there's a lot of suffering. If we would just quit trying to explain to people and say, well, it's God's will, or if somebody, and I've heard people say too, if somebody dies, well, it had to be God's will, he's in a better place. Stop telling people that. You don't know that for sure. Is it God's will? I know I know a couple of people just recently who died in car accidents out of nowhere. People who were serving God, right? And I've heard some of the comments on their posts of people say that it's God's will. It is not God's will that this man or this woman was smashed by a car. That is not God's will. It is God's. If that's God's will, then what kind of God are you serving? Would you say that it's God's will that a kid is born with cancer? Some of these things have nothing to do with free will. We have to quit telling people that and just simply tell people that I don't know and I don't understand. For years I would try to tell people and explain to them. I have done funerals of kids, people's babies, and I would try to explain to people why their children would die and stuff like that. And I would try to explain it biblically. But now my answer is I don't know. I don't know why we suffer like that. So let's just quit telling people that it's God's will. Stop telling people that it's free will because freak accidents happen all the time. It has nothing to do with free will.